Check this.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. It is your host, Lee Bailey, and we have a great show for you today. We're going to talk to, this is Be Encouraged, in case you were unaware. Most of you tune in for that reason purposely. Make sure that you like and share if you don't mind. We'd love that if you would do that, and that we get an idea of where you, there goes, look at that. A like, as soon as I said that, Tura our solid jumps in and hits like. I appreciate that, Tura. So anybody, if you want to do that, also, if you want to, I have the comments open on my page. I don't necessarily address every single one, but happy Taco Tuesday to you too, Tora. But I will address a few of them as we go along. And to start the show off, for either 15 or 20 or 30 minutes, we're going to have this guy from Ortho Virginia, ladies and gentlemen. We have Dr. Mook. And he is here to, we're going to talk to him a little bit about some stuff that's going on, what the new normal is, and that kind of thing. So how are you, Dr. Mook? How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me on today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much for being on with us. Let me ask you something right out of the box. Ortho Virginia, give me a little bit of layout of what it is that, obviously you're an orthopedic office. You guys do some in-office surgery, you do some, or at least manipulation, things like that. Not a chiropractor, but orthopedic. Talk to me a little bit about what the Ortho Virginia practice kind of encompasses.
Sure. Yeah. So we are the largest orthopedic musculoskeletal provider in Northern Virginia. We comprehensively take care of all musculoskeletal issues. So basically anything that has to do with muscles, bones, joints, acute and chronic conditions. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. My subspecialty training is in sports medicine. So I primarily take care of sports medicine injuries and injuries related to the shoulder. But my partners and I, exactly. Yeah, you got it. Take care of the full gamut of musculoskeletal injuries, from foot and ankle injuries, knee, hip, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, and we have subspecialists in all of those areas that help to take care of all your orthopedic needs. We're in multiple locations all over the Northern Virginia area. We also our practice is stretched across the state and have a big portion of it in Richmond and Lynchburg and the Tidewater area as well. We have in office non-surgical care across the Northern Virginia area, and operate out of numerous hospitals and surgery centers to take care of the surgically related issues with regard to orthopedic injuries as well.
Are there orthopedic doctors and orthopedic surgeons, or do you guys pretty much all of you do surgery? All of you do the doctoring part too?
So there are non-operative orthopedic specialists within our practice, but the vast majority of us in Northern Virginia are orthopedic surgical specialists. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other thing, you mentioned sports medicine. I know because we hear it more joy and Be Encouraged. I've been doing high school sports for years and years and years. I've worked in the high schools. I've coached, all that kind of stuff. Do you guys, is it your practice that works with Fairfax County Public Schools and provides an orthopedic for the games?
No, you got it right on there. So there's a handful of our orthopedic surgeons, both general orthopedists and sports medicine specialists, that engage in the care for the Fairfax County Public Schools, taking care of student athletes and providing pre-participation clearance physicals so that high school students can safely participate in their prospective sports.
Okay, cool. I always, I'm security safety for the school. So when you guys get all your special parking spots, I'm the one that makes sure that the parking spot doesn't get filled when you're coming to the game.
Well, thanks for making that happen for us.
We may have met at some point. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was just curious. I thought that was Ortho Virginia. Wasn't exactly sure. Do you work with the Redskins or any of the other professional athletes around the area?
Yeah, so our practice is the official orthopedic provider for DC United, so DC and Loudoun United, taking care of the new United Soccer League team in Loudoun County. We also take care of George Mason University, and then all of the high school teams that you've alluded to in both Fairfax and Loudoun County.
Okay, great. Now, let's get to one of the pressing issues right now. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that Tora Arsala keeps bumping in, telling me he's going to see Dr. Scott tomorrow and wants me to ask you questions that I already had on my list to ask you. So,
sure.
How have you guys, the new normal? I mean, there's a new normal, obviously, everywhere with restaurants, businesses, doctors' offices. I've been in. I just had a lung transplant a year ago, so I still have to go to the hospital every now and again for something or other. What's the new normal for you guys in your office? And what about surgeries now? Because elective surgeries were on the back burner for a while. Are those now, you getting more of those? You still kind of being selective, and if it's really not that necessary, you tell people to wait. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, no, that's so obviously a multifaceted question there. So no, that's okay. So we'll start with the first portion, the new normal. So for, when the shutdown occurred, we went into a different mode of patient care in terms of basically only acute care throughout our offices to help offload patients from the emergency department setting, so that the hospitals could focus on taking care of patients with COVID-19, and those patients with your routine musculoskeletal injuries could avoid crowding the emergency departments and potentially become exposed to that sort of thing.
Right.
So our clinics went to more of a walk-in scenario where patients were encouraged to avoid going to the emergency department directly with their acute injury and make their way to our office. We spread out the appointment time so that patients weren't crowded in the waiting areas and could be distanced from that perspective. We've gone to enhanced sanitizing techniques of the office and the waiting areas and so forth, and tried to offload the hospitals to provide that service. And between the months of March and May, we serviced about 6,000 walk-in patients that would otherwise have potentially had to go directly to the emergency department and offloaded the healthcare system in that way. So I feel like we're pretty proud of being able to do that for our surrounding communities. And then as the shutdown has lifted and the governor has allowed us to pursue elective surgeries, which started at the beginning of May, we started working through our backlog of cases, because just because COVID-19 occurred didn't mean that people didn't continue to have shoulder arthritis and knee arthritis and hip arthritis and need to have their joints replaced and injuries addressed with elective procedures. So we've done in a systematic fashion. We've re-implemented our elective surgery schedules, prioritizing those patients with more urgent surgical needs, and as you've alluded to, helped patients who could potentially be put off for longer, dealing with more of a chronic issue like knee or hip or shoulder osteoarthritis with cortisone injections and so forth, so that their elective procedure can be done at a later time when it's potentially more safe if they're a high-risk individual.
Right. I got you. So, so one of the questions I just had while we're sitting here is someone wants to know if you guys have a specialist that help with derotational osteometry of the GHE knees. Does that make any sense to you?
A derotational osteotomy of the what?
Of GHE, or it's just the knees. I think they must have hit the G by accident. Of the knees, yeah. Obviously, you do.
Yeah, so that's a pretty unusual surgical procedure. Oftentimes performed by pediatric orthopedists for developmental abnormalities about the knee joint in terms of alignment. And you probably highlighted one of the very few things that isn't routinely done in our practice in terms of developmental abnormalities like that. So offhand, I'm not aware of anybody that does that procedure.
Okay, so let me ask you this. You guys have a pediatric part of Ortho Virginia?
Yeah, so
okay.
We do take care of pediatric orthopedic injuries, acute injuries, fractures, etc. And most of our orthopedists take care of those broad spectrum of injuries.
Okay, I know that there's a huge difference between young people and people who are still growing with their bones. You know, I remember I had a soccer player, one of my best, and he had a problem with his growth plate in his foot, and the doctor said, "Oh hell no, you're not playing soccer for a while," you know, because you can't do any more damage to that growth plate, or else it's going to have a problem. So I had to be he missed the season for me. So and that's fine. I was kidding. I kidded him all the time. I was like, "Are you ready yet?" He's like, "No, Mr. Bailey, I can't do it." So anyway, but you know, I know tell me what is the challenge though? I mean, I know I kind of probably just grazed over it, but what's the challenge working with people who are still in the growth process? And at what time do they become adults and don't have the issue with it? You have to address them as adolescents or children.
Yeah, so it varies depending on the particular bone or joint, because the various bones throughout the body approach skeletal maturity at different ages.
Okay.
Majority of the extremity in a female will developmentally mature around the age of 14, and a male around the age of 16. But there's a pretty vast variation in that across the spectrum of individuals. There are some bones in the body, particularly the collarbone, that in males it'll be until the early 20s that it's fully skeletally mature. And so for each particular injury pattern or abnormality, there's very specific considerations for each bone throughout the body, and then the spine is a whole a different animal, so to speak.
Right, with the whole nervous system.
Problems as well.
Yeah. Okay. So we've addressed that. Let me think. There's another question that I wanted to ask you, Dr. Mook, about. So how do you know as a person? Because I know one of the things that your challenge is in this COVID-19 era is that your jobs is my impression is very hands-on. You got to feel the grind in that shoulder. I've been told that I don't have any cartilage in my knees, but they're smooth and they don't hurt. And the doctor said, when they start to hurt, come back and see me, but maybe, do you grow back cartilage? That was the question I wanted to ask. Can cartilage grow back in your joints?
There are procedures that can be done that can resurface areas of cartilage loss, but generally speaking, the process of osteoarthritis, which is the generalized loss of cartilage, is not one that our scientific community has been able to figure out in terms of reversing quite yet, which is why as our population in the United States and across the world continues to age, joint replacement procedures continue to be a very common phenomenon. It looks like we frozen here. I don't know. Can you still hear me?
There we go.
All right, lost you there for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, the internet went on a dive, and I apologize for that.
No problem at all.
All right. So you were talking. What were we talking about?
You had asked about whether or not cartilage can be repaired.
Yeah. And you were mentioning
there are ways that we can resurface, focal cartilage defects in the appropriate situation. Advanced imaging and evaluation is necessary to determine when that is right. But the generalized concept of osteoarthritis is not one that we've been able to solve as a scientific community.
Okay, just curious. I didn't know if there's any developments that have changed in that realm, and I didn't know if you hear all kinds of people talk about, well, take your glucosamine chondroitin and it's going to help boost up your calcium production. And what do you say to things like that? I hear that all the time.
Yeah, so glucosamine and chondroitin is an interesting supplement. There's been a lot of science dedicated to studying whether or not it makes a difference in terms of progression of arthritis. And the science is somewhat split. There's plenty of studies that show that it does make a difference, and there's just as many studies that show that it makes absolutely no difference compared to a placebo control. So it's a relatively common supplement. It can be found in safe formulation that's relatively inexpensive. So when folks are interested in taking it, I advise them to get a reputable source that's relatively cheap, not prohibitively expensive, and try it for about 90 days. And if they feel like it's helping them more than it's hurting their wallet, then to continue beyond that.
Yeah. Okay. Just I was curious.
A safe supplement.
And do you know what supplements are the best supplements for issues with bones and that kind of thing, or you'd rather not say?
So there's lots of different ailments with regard to joints versus bones, osteoporosis versus osteoarthritis, and it's probably beyond the scope of our
one answer.
Yeah,
I understand. No problem about that. I remember seeing, as far as supplements are concerned, you're right about it takes the right kind. I've had people say to me, I had an X-ray shown to me that had, you could see in the stomach, you could see all the supplements that the person takes. So in other words, they're not even dissolving like they're supposed to, going down into the stomach. They're just sitting there because it's all, someone said, the adhesive materials that are there to keep the pill together. And it's undigestible. So that's obviously something you want to get that's really can digest well and smoothly into your system if it's a supplement. And would you suggest that someone ask you or ask their PCP?
Yeah, these are all things that probably warrant an in-depth discussion with your medical provider before starting anything.
Right. Okay. Well, what else do you think you can tell us about Ortho Virginia and how they're doing things and what they're going about doing? You guys are obviously in a new realm of antisepticing everything. I don't know if that's a word or not, but putting antiseptic over everything.
The office setting. We're taking enhanced measures to make sure that everybody's as safe as possible in terms of screening, temperature taking. Everybody has to wear masks in the office, and extending our hours to continue to try to the emergency department. So we've got after hours clinics in our Springfield, Fair Oaks, and Stone Springs offices. We're now, open on Saturdays and weekend hours to continue to try to provide that urgent care need during this new normal or unusual situation.
Yeah.
You
Do
know?
you guys have it's set up so that if you tell people when they make their appointment or before they come in, if you're sick or running a fever, don't come in, or do you have a separate waiting room? How do you guys addressing that?
If you're demonstrating any cold or flu symptoms, then the appointment would have to be rescheduled. Those cannot be seen and dealt with here in the office setting. Patients are screened when they make their appointments. All patients are screened at the doorway to go through those types of questions.
Right.
If there's anything that precludes their safe care in the office setting, their temperatures are taken before they enter the office, and if there's any concerns, we're erring on the side of caution to make sure that, all of the individuals, both the providers in the office and the other patients in the office, are kept as safe as possible.
I totally agree. Ortho Virginia, is it .com, .org? What is the
.com?
The email? .com. Okay. Ortho Virginia, orthovirginia.com is how they get in touch with you. You guys need to get in touch with this group of, how many doctors do you guys have in your practice?
More than 100. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you move around from office to office, or you stay pretty much grounded on where you're assigned?
Yeah, most of our providers are located in one particular office. We do have a handful of providers that service multiple offices, but for the most part, we've each got our home bases.
And last question, just because it's only in my mind, how many different specialties are there in the orthopedic range for doctors?
So I guess I'll just start from the top.
Just a couple. I mean, you don't have to name them all.
Yeah. There's actually probably more than you think. So, we've got, the spine as a subspecialty. We've got shoulder and elbow. We've got hand and wrist and upper extremity. We have sports medicine. There's hip and knee reconstruction. There's foot and ankle. There's orthopedic oncology and pediatric orthopedics. And that pretty much covers the realm of orthopedic services. Okay.
And for my personal question, the ulnar nerve, when it needs to be pushed to another place,
yeah,
you guys do, or is that somebody go to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Hand and upper extremity and nerve surgery is a subspecialty within orthopedics, and that's certainly something that we take care of routinely.
Well, right before I had the transplant, my pinkies went a little numb. They're fine. They're much better now, but I can still tingle a little bit. And it's not emergency surgery or anything like that. So I definitely didn't want to mess with going to surgery after just having had probably the major surgery of all time.
Yeah.
So I'm just, and I don't know who I'm going to go to, so I'm sure I'll.
Yeah, we can certainly help you out with that. Yeah. One of our hand and upper extremity specialists would be happy to help take care of you.
I heard it's simple. It's really easy procedure. They said I got some calcification and or damage from muscles and whatever down in my elbows because the way I sit, I damaged it. Just needs to be pulled out and put somewhere else. So
just as easy as that. Yep.
Yeah, just as easy as that. All right, my friend. Dr. Mook, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
I'd love to have you on call in case we ever have issues where we want to address and get your expertise on them. So don't be too surprised if you get a call from us at some point saying, "Oh, we'd like to come back on."
Okay. I'd be happy to join you again.
Well, I'd love to have you on, and of course, Ortho Virginia is really the go-to orthopedic. I mean, I know there's other orthopedic doctors who are very good, but we will definitely include you in our little list of where to go and how to get there. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Lee. I appreciate you having me on. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too, Dr. Mook. Have a great day. Take care. Well, folks, there he goes. He's off to have someone's hip surgery. So I did not ask him, Caitlin, because he already discussed the fact that they are, in fact, the doctors Ortho Virginia does take care of Loudoun United and DC United. Here's my friend Tora Arsala. He is joining us, and I have a feeling I know what he wants to talk about. Go ahead, Tori. You heard what he said about your issue. That's your issue, isn't it?
Well, you know, he was my doctor a couple months ago.
Oh, was he?
That's why I brought him on. I was like, okay, I had to. You wanted a medical doctor on, so I was like, okay, I'll bring him on.
That's fine. He was great. Thank you. Did I ask him the right questions?
You did, but you failed to ask him about what Ortho Virginia is doing for the community.
All right.
Anyways, the reason why I'm on the show is
he kind of mentioned that, but go ahead.
Anyways, the reason why I'm on the show is because we're in the final stretch with only a few days left of my big event on Sunday. I know they're watching, so I want to thank Meg Suttard and Tara Hager and Lizette and everybody for all of their hard work. We put together a wonderful committee. We're going to have a great event this Sunday, and we are still looking for silent auction items. If you guys have some awesome items, email me. My first and last name 2020@gmail.com. And Lee, you'll be excited about this, but thanks to the owner at 29 Diner, we're going to be having one of the biggest special silent auction items we're going to be having is an autographed Redskins jersey.
Sweet.
So it's going to be amazing. And if we are also looking for volunteers. If anyone's has some spare time, the 12th is our kickoff. We're going to be having a good number of people come out. It's going to be a good time. And then the following Sunday is where we're going to be having our final hurrah party, where it's going to be folks because there's a capacity limit at the diner, obviously because of the current
of course
limitations. So folks who cannot attend in person this Sunday, you are welcome to come the following Sunday. And the following Sunday, we will be having crab legs at the diner for sale.
Good deal. Sounds awesome.
Anyways,
sounds outstanding.
Thanks, Lee, and I'll talk to you later.
Sir. Yes, sir. Take care. Okay, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate you tuning in. I hope any questions that you wanted to ask were asked and answered. It's the end of our program for today. This is the 4:30 Be Encouraged program, and I hope you're encouraged today. In fact, let's do this real fast before we go. I reached up. Oh, that's Moby Dick. Never mind. Let me get this one. Oh, there it is. Okay, the wisdom thing. So let me flip through here. All right, I got a great one here, okay? Here it is. This is an American Indian saying, okay? I love this. Call on God, but row away from the rocks. That is ideal for today. Call on God, but row away from the rocks, because he ain't going to take you away from the rocks. He's going to leave that up to you. Roger that. Roger that. Have a great day, everybody.